I mean, my creative partner, when I was a creative team, he used to say, go to the toilet. Because he knew if I went to the loo and I'd come back with an idea, you know? And I
Maybe a shitty idea.
a real shit idea, yeah. The next morning, you know, one of those in the night.
Hey Richard, thank you for accepting the invite and welcome to A Glass of Marketing with Joe. The concept is pretty simple. We usually have a glass of wine while talking about marketing, of course, personal and professional growth. So yeah, thank you for accepting the invite, man, and welcome. We're recording live from Cannes. Talon and Advertising UK, they hosting us, so thank you guys.
Thank you.
And we're drinking Ferrari. Yeah, which is not a car brand, it's like a sparkling wine. Italian brand, probably one of the best. They're sponsoring FA1.
Very nice.
Yeah, it's the Italian champagne, you know. Because I'm Italian, I'm trying to promote Italian products as well in France. But yeah, man, thank you for accepting the invite. Cheers.
Lovely.
Thank you, man. So yeah.
Cheers.
So yeah, Richard, you are part of St. Luke Creative,
a
creative agency based in London. Can you better explain what you do and what St. Luke does?
So I'm Joint Chief Creative Officer of St. Luke's London, an independent agency which has been going, I think it's 27 years now. I've been there for nearly 7 years.
Okay.
My background, I started in, I'd always worked in big networks.
Okay.
So I've worked at Y&R, which then went on to become Rainey Kelly. From there, Saatchi's, from Saatchi's to DDB London.
Okay,
then,
wow.
And then I was ECD of DLKW Low, which turned into Mullen Low.
Okay.
And then 7 years ago joined St. Luke's, an independent, my first independent agency. So really interesting coming from big network culture to an independent. So yeah, independent agency based in London, 27 years. I think it's a year older than I am in advertising.
Wow.
You know, like dog years, if you like. And then I've been there nearly 7 years. We've got, I think we're all about building brands.
Okay.
So brand worlds, so distinct brand worlds, and agenda setting ideas. Clients we've got with a 15-year relationship with Heineken Group. So we've been with Heineken for a long time. So that's Old Moot, cider. We've got Ocado, so we work with Ocado, Wix, Heathrow, KP Snacks. So we've got many clients. So we do above the line, digital, social, all the way through. And then we've got in-house capabilities as well in Apostle.
Wow, so you've been working like for years, huge groups, and then you moved to an independent agency.
Yeah.
If you had to kind of compare, you know, and what's the main difference between, you know, like a big group and independent agency?
I tell you what's interesting. I'm blessed and lucky in the sense that I've got to work for incredible networks, you know, all of them. I think hindsight, exploring it when I was younger, I would have loved that. I think there's a very different thing in an independent than there is in a network. Mm-hmm. One, obviously, is size. So
okay.
You've got, it's network agencies are usually quite big. There's lots of people. And when I was at my previous agency, as ECD was my first job, the one thing that we wanted to do was try and make sure that the culture was absolutely key. And the places that I've worked before, culture was really, really important. You know, Rainey Kelly, which Y&R then bought, that was very, very, you know, all about culture. DDB, there was a lot of culture there in our creative department. I think the one thing that can happen, if you've got a big network agency, you can get silos. Mm-hmm. So you kind of have little mini agencies, if you like, no matter how hard you try, because you're sometimes potentially servicing big network brands. You know, so they're almost, you've got agencies within an agency that are servicing, say, Unilever or Procter & Gamble. So I think that's the one thing that is very different. You know, we're only, I think we're about 40, 50 people. So in an independent, you know, say you walk into St. Luke's, you're all in one space. You know,
Yeah.
you're not, you know, there isn't, you could look across the agency and I don't think you can see hierarchy from like senior management down to sort of junior, if you like. We're all mixed together, and I think culture is, it's more like I'd say it's more family orientated. I think culture is really, really important. Culture is important whether you're big or small, I think, let's be brutally honest. But I think that's one thing is the difference that I've noticed coming into an independent is you haven't got, you are responsible for everyone in that room. And even the senior management, the owners of that agency, they're there with you. You haven't got people, powers that be, elsewhere keeping an eye on where you are.
Do you think it's easier to be creative when you're independent? Because, you know, there is kind of less people, but people communicate more, they're in the same room, and there is also more collaboration.
I don't know if it's easier to be creative. I mean, look, some of the most successful agencies that are winning in Cannes are big network agencies with huge creative departments, and I think that's baked into their DNA. What is easier, as you said then, is communication. You get things done quickly because you're all in the room together. You know, you're working it out together. You know, I think what's interesting in an independent, if we're pitching or we're on a project, you haven't got to go all the way up the stairs to another department, or, you know, you haven't got a hierarchy to go through. You're all in that room together, and people tend to, I think there's a different mentality, probably more of a let's roll our sleeves up and all get stuck in together. That might usually happen on an individual account, but even though we all work on different accounts within it, we're with each other all the time. So you're in that room together, you know, you're working things out. So I think that's one thing that I think has been important. But actually, the truth is that starts at the culture starts at the top, and that has always been part of, say, St Luke's DNA, which is why I was interested in going to them first and foremost. One, because they had an incredible history of, you know, they launched IKEA in the UK. When IKEA came in, they launched BT Digital Services. They launched Eurostar. They were a breakaway from TBWA at Day. So they were quite disruptive, and they ended up being headlined in the Harvard Times, the most terrifying business in the UK, because what they did was they gave everyone a share in the business and made everyone responsible. Slightly changed that since time, but the culture has always remained the same. The principles for St Luke's are, for every employee, is encourage everyone to bring their best self to work. Because when you bring your best self to work, you're in your best mind, and when you're in your best mind, you create your best things for your clients.
Yeah, it's not easy to be creative, because I think, to be creative, I think you need to work smart. You can work hard, because I feel like you have ideas that come up in the weirdest moment.
Definitely.
And in seconds. So then it's all about, of course, afterwards, it's all about the execution. But I think coming up with the idea, it's not just about looking at the laptop for like 10 hours.
No,
you know what I mean?
Totally agree. I mean, I say to my teams, you know, if they're struggling, I say to my son studying advertising,
go home.
Go home. Go for a walk.
Yeah.
Go for a walk. I mean, my creative partner, when I was a creative team, he used to say, go to the toilet. Because he knew if I went to the loo and I'd come back with an idea, you know? And I
Maybe a shitty idea.
A real shit idea, yeah. The next morning, you know, one of those in the night. But I think what you're doing there is you're going, look, you've put these four walls up around you, and when it starts getting in your head and you're staring at something, looking for that, it doesn't happen.
Exactly.
The best time that happens is when you're relaxed. When you've got freedom, and I say to
what's your secret? Where is your place, if you can say it?
I think the most important thing is mental health and well-being is really important today, and rightly so. And I think work-life balance is critical. I think you know. I mean, we're lucky. We're blessed in the sense of, you know, we get paid to come up with ideas to sell this, or do you know what I mean? You know. We're not saving lives, or you know, we are very, very lucky.
My parents are doctors, so I decided to save my life instead. You know what I mean?
Did they want you to be a doctor?
Yes.
So what happened?
No, I was like, look, I think it's a mission, right? You don't do it because you just want to make money. I think when you want to become a doctor or like a teacher, I think the most important, I mean, not the most important, but like, in my opinion, two key roles in the societies are educators and doctors, right? They can both give you a lot, or they can take a lot from you. So I didn't want to become a doctor because, like, I've seen it. It's a lot of responsibility. You always on for real. It's like the mindset is way different, and you don't do it for money. You do it because you actually want to. You have a mission, and you decide to take it from you to give it to the others.
And both your parents?
Yes.
So how did you get into this?
Honestly, I was like, you know what, I always wanted to be creative. When I was younger, I loved music and I used to do graffiti. So I used to draw a lot, and I was like, I wanna, you know, I really loved advertising. So I remember when I was watching TV, I was actually focusing. So people change the channel, right? Switch the channel when they get advertising. Well, I was focusing on advertising because I really enjoy it, because I find it creative as well, right? The thing is, I wasn't sure yet because I was 18, so I was like, let me study business. So I went studying economics and business, and then I did marketing. But then I realized that, of course, my dream was to work in a creative agency, right? Now I tell you the fun story. So I studied in Maastricht. I moved to Amsterdam to work in a creative agency. And I realized that I could be creative, but I was very analytical because, of course, I came from business. So, for example, today what I do is a performance marketing. So, of course, I have creative ideas.
So the analytics of it all.
But I'm more analytical. So I always say I'm like a creative with an analytical approach at the end of the day, because I don't know how to use, you know, all the tools like Illustrator, Photoshop. So, you know, I kind of, you know, even creative in this, right? The real artist is Giacomo behind the camera, is the guy drawing and everything. But I also give him the idea. So when I look at the videos, right, and the podcast where I say, look, at this minute, can you draw this? And this minute, can you draw that?
Love it.
So I'm still creative in some ways.
Definitely, of course you are.
But he's my end, essentially. You know what I mean? I try to guide him, and we work
together. But this is production, isn't it? You know,
and it's like a art direction in some ways.
Direction.
Yes.
But what's interesting about that
as well... And my motto, sorry to interrupt, is fake it until you make it, right? So
I love it.
You know what I mean? I fake it until I become like a creative
And how long
director.
have you been doing this now?
This for like 5 months now. We just started, and we're already in Cannes, by the way, so thank you, everyone.
And did you get together as a team to do this? So how did this come about?
It's funny because now it's the interview is the other
no,
way around.
But I love
it.
But this is great. This is good.
No, so I always loved illustrations because I feel like, of course, I come from graffiti, I come from ended drawing, and I really love that. And I realized that in this society where everything is digital and everything is kind of losing its soul, you know?
Yeah.
And the AI is coming, and of course, is kind of, I would say, standardizing a lot of things. I really like imperfection. So I really love and the drawing, graffiti, you know what I mean?
I tell you what, imperfection, a good example of imperfection. Do you know the UK ad, John West Bear? You know, where he fights. It's it won a gold lion many years ago. It was actually the very first viral commercial. I'll have to send you a link. And basically it was for John West, who are a brand in the UK that sell tinned fish.
Okay. No,
salmon. Yeah. So basically the idea was John West endures the worst to bring you the best.
Okay.
Basically, there's a man that goes down to the riverside and he fights a bear for the salmon. So he has a punch up with the bear. Okay? He has a punch up. And then he walks away and he boxes with the bear, and then he walks away and it says, John West, endure the worst to bring you the best, and it's a salmon. Denney Kleiman shot that ad, very famous, Paul Silburn, very famous creative that's no longer with us, sadly. Imperfection, this is brilliant because they had, the bear suit was made, but it wasn't the best bear suit, okay? And they did loads of close-ups of the bear suit, but you could see the imperfections and it looked shit.
Yeah.
So they decided in the edit to leave it all on a long lens, all at the distance. But that was its genius, because everyone went, how clever.
Yeah.
You know, it's like wildlife photography.
Yeah.
On a long lens, observing a story. Yeah. No, it's because the suit was shit, the imperfections. But little details like that turned it into something special.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think the beauty of creativity is being unique, is being imperfect, right? Because everyone is different, and I think in a society where, you know, through social media, everyone has, you know, the filter, so everyone looks beautiful, right? I feel like the real beauty is our imperfections.
Totally.
Like, you know what I mean?
I think
this is what differentiates us.
But
right?
that's the best thing about. I think that's the best thing about things like TikTok and Reels and stuff like that. People are just out there doing stuff. They're putting it out there. They're making stuff. They're being creative. But they're not going through a process of looking at it, trying it out. Should I do this? Should I do that? 9 times out of 10, they're just putting it out there. And if it sticks,
I think it changed because I think the beginning, at the beginning, I remember I'm one of the first like Instagram users, like for real. Like when Instagram was just filters and uploading pictures for people that loved taking pictures. I remember at the beginning, for example, Instagram and social was like you have to look perfect, you have to look nice. I think over the years, if you see how people are uploading. Now people upload like carousel of pictures, and now they don't even put filters and everything. So I feel like we moved from a place where everyone wants to look perfect to a place where now people are just they call it the dump, right? They put a lot of pictures, stories. So I think we're getting there because I think human being needs to kind of express without having too much, perfection.
Do you think, with that in mind, then that there's a desperate need, especially with AI and everything, for authenticity?
Yeah, I think so. Look, I did this episode with the CMO of Dove, and for me it was an honor because my final thesis at university was around the Dove experiment, right? The way they communicate, which is like being real, right?
Of course.
It's like you don't have to be perfect, you are perfect, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's beautiful because I think this is what, like, I think they're representing what I'm trying to say, which is like everyone is unique, everyone is beautiful, and I think this is what makes us perfect in some way. So I think the society at some point recognized that, I think AI, it's great, and I'm giving this presentation next week about AI. I call it AI or not AI, and what I'm trying to explain is that AI is affecting the top and the bottom, right?
Totally.
So the bottom is efficiency, and this is great because honestly, I've been using ChatGPT since the beginning, and it's improving my work-life balance as well because writing emails, I'm not a native speaker. I've been using Grammarly since the beginning anyway, and this is already AI, right? So I write an email, instead of taking 10 minutes, 1 minute. It summarized me documents. You know what I mean?
It's interesting. My son, as I said, he's studying advertising, and I said, look, we have a thing every week, which is our head of strategy, Dan Hulse, heads up, called Bring Your AI to Lunch.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the latest stuff going, sharing things, how my creatives might use it, how I might use it.
Yeah.
And I was saying to my son a few weeks ago, I said, look, you should be using ChatGPT and playing around, try this tool. And he said, oh no, I shouldn't do that because that's cheating. I said, no, it's not cheating.
Exactly.
You can get it to help you do the bits that you don't want to do. For example, tell me your idea that you've got on this. He goes, I've got this idea for this brand, for a campaign. I said, now run it through this.
Use it to brainstorm.
Now find exactly. And I said, at the moment you're working as a solo.
Exactly.
Use it as a partner.
I define AI as the super smart assistant that we were looking for.
Scraping data, finding information.
Exactly.
Let's look for insight. Let's find out what we can do
exactly.
with that.
And so of course it's affecting the bottom, so it's driving more efficiency, and it's great. But on the other side, it's also affecting the top. So like innovation, because like Netflix is using AI, to improve, the user experience. Spotify as well, right? But you still need humans to kind of think out of the box. You know what I mean? Those new ideas are just coming from us. You know what I mean?
I think, and I'll say it again. I think authenticity is going to be really important. If things get so real.
Yeah.
We start to challenge,
Yeah.
Say this is me with a conversation with you. Are you real? Am I getting the real Geo?
Yeah.
Or am I getting AI Geo because it knows your voice and it can, great for a sports marketing, Ronaldo or whatever, because he can't be in 4 or 5 places at once and he can have his brand out there doing all that. But if you're going to tell a story, you want the real deal. Authenticity is going to be really important, I think.
But also, if you think about it, let's look at personal branding on LinkedIn. I think at the beginning, when we all used ChatGPT, everyone was using ChatGPT to write on LinkedIn. Now, after like a year and a half, you can spot if someone is writing it using ChatGPT, and it looks terrible.
Yeah.
It's like a long paragraph with just a lot of words. People get bored.
Yeah.
So I think now you can tell who is writing it by himself. At least getting ChatGPT to assist you, but then you're writing it yourself. So, and you're doing the post-editing by yourself. So I feel like, you know, at the end of the day, I think we are what's unique, and I think this is winning in the long run.
Yeah.
By the way, touching on another topic, I feel like, how many people are you managing right now?
So I run the creative department alongside Al Young, who is the other joint chief creative officer, and he's the owner, one of the owners of St. Luke's. We've got a creative department of, how many people we've got in our creative department? There's about 10, 11 of us.
Okay.
So it's not big, but a really lovely team of seniors down to juniors.
So how important is the team against the rock star? Because I guess all corporates, all agencies have some rock stars, but like, how important is the teamwork in a creative process, or it's just like the rock star coming up with the great idea and just following? So how important is Cristiano Ronaldo, as you mentioned, against the whole team?
So I think here's a great thing, and Cristiano Ronaldo is a great example. Michael Jordan famously once said, talent wins games, but teamwork and intelligence win championships. Okay?
Yeah.
So now, Cristiano Ronaldo can have an A game, and he might win a game, but is he single-handedly going to win the tournament? I think we're in the Euros right now. England used to always be about, we've got individual players. It's a bit like Portugal and Ronaldo. But actually, we've got an incredible amount of players now that can all add something as a team to potentially, hopefully beat the Italians as payback, in the final. But that's the truth, isn't it? It isn't one star. It's 11 men. But not just 11 men. It's a manager. It's an assistant manager. It's the backroom staff. It's not just those guys on the pitch.
But let's be honest, the rock star is also important, right? So how do you make sure to give the right value to the rock star? Like, is there any strategy or like?
Yeah, I tell you what it is. No egos.
Okay.
No egos. We've got really talented teams at all levels. Mm-hmm. We've got the up and coming talent that are the future, and we've got the talent at the top end that have been there and done that, and that's experience now. And I think that's where rock stars can play a role, is experience. When times are tough and shit hits the fan, they've been into battle. So they play a responsibility. The same as me, playing a responsibility to help and guide and nurture, and pass that on. That's the thing. I've been doing this, 27 years now. And if I remember about the talent that I've been around, blessed to be around some incredible talent I've worked with over the years, I've learnt something from all of them along the way. Little things that I keep in my mind, and I use that. And that's about culture as well. And, I think with regards to sort of rock star mentality, yes, we've got a talent that we know, you're going to get something out of them, but sometimes you might not. But and for me, it's important that that's okay as well, because no one is that incredible. No one is that incredible where you can constantly do it over and over and over again. I think bloody hell, maybe there are one or two, but there's not really, is there? And that's why teams have always worked well together. Yes, we can do.
Because creativity is a process, and a process needs more
one-on-one,
right?
One-on-one makes three.
Okay.
Yes, you've got talent that can do stuff on their own, but that's the hardest thing to do on your own as well. For me as a chief creative officer, I don't have a creative partner. I used to be part of a creative team, but my team is everyone around me. Mm-hmm. Everyone, strategy, account management, every single department, everyone that's important, from the person on the front desk.
And I think the higher you get, and I think the key is also being able to delegate to the right people. So surrounding yourself with the right people and trust them, because through my episodes, of course, I had a few chief executive officer, chief marketing officer, and this is a constant. Like, everyone says, look, I have a lot of responsibilities, but I need the right people around me. I need to trust the right people because I can't do everything, right?
No, I mean, it's a cliche, but I remember my old ECD at DDB, who's still a mentor to me today, Jeremy Cragen. He said, my motto is hire people that are better than you. And I love that. And we were like, what? You're brilliant. It's very different when you're sitting back and you're able to see a whole picture rather than being right in there.
It's experience as well.
And it's experience. And I think that's the thing. You know, rock stars usually have been around quite a lot longer. But rock stars know how to get the right tone or whatever, and they know that they've got the back support. They know that they're potentially part of a band. They know that they've got someone doing the PR. They've got someone else. You know, they are orchestrated as well. You know, it isn't just them on their own. They can hit that note, but there's loads of other things around them that makes them a rock star. You know, and that's really important to live by that and know that, because I think clients play a role in that as well. You know, they don't just buy your work. They don't just buy an agency's work. They buy the people that help make that work. They're in it to make their businesses successful or save lives or whatever it is. And they've got to know that agency, those people in that room with them are going to be with them all the way through the brilliant times and then through the tough times. And are they listening? Are they on it? Are they a team?
No, I agree with you when you say, you know, client agency relationship is people focused, because at the end of the day, at the beginning, when an agency is pitching, of course, you buying the brand as well, right? But then you have to meet the people, right?
Definitely.
And when you meet the people, it's not like the agency anymore. It's not PhD, it's not Omnicom, it's not Publicis, but it's actually like the people you're meeting. So I think like the people play a key role, right?
When we pitch, for me, right, when I was a kid, I remember going to my careers advisor. I was a shit at school, okay?
Same.
And which is why we're doing this now, sitting here to our teachers, drinking champagne with this beautiful backdrop. And they said, what do you want to do? What do you want to do, Denney? What do you want to do for a career? And I said, I either want to do art or drama, acting.
Okay.
And he said, you're not going to do either of them. Get a trade. Next. Kind of kicked me out. And I fucked up at school. And then I left school, I went to college, and I went, oh my God, I found like-minded people like me, and then went to art college. I didn't study advertising. My tutor saw what I was like and went, you'd be good at advertising. You know, I work with an incredible amount of people on my course, illustrators, designers, packaging designers. I never had those disciplines. They were real solo disciplines, craft. My tutor said, you've got great ideas. You'd be brilliant at advertising. And that's how I fell into advertising. And then it wasn't until I started advertising, I went, wow, if only I'd known about this earlier. You know, so I can be an art director or a writer or whatever. There's, a lot of these jobs now. I can work with a photographer. I can work with a designer. Yeah. I work with someone in fashion. You get to work with this breadth of people, filmmakers, illustrators. Do you know what I mean? Directors, all these different disciplines. And what they do is they bring your idea to life.
How hard is to find like the right place? Because you know what, like my second job is I teach at university, right? So of course I'm like a mentor to students.
Brilliant.
Right? And at the beginning, the first moment I go in the class, of course I had to create a course. I spent so many hours creating this digital marketing course, right? The first moment I go into the class, and of course the first time I was very anxious, I will never forget it. I realized that I wasn't there to teach marketing, but I was there to mentor them and to show them the way, right?
Definitely.
Because at the end of the day, my role is also like to be, you know what, you are analytical enough to do performance marketing, or like you are not analytical enough to do performance, you should do like creative, you should do this, you should do that. So as you said, I think like finding the right room for you, it's the hardest part. And I think as an educator, so when I said, look, I didn't become a doctor, but then I wanted to become an educator because I wanted to kind of help the society as well.
But that's because of you when you're younger. I think the thing is, I was at South by Southwest years ago, and I can't remember the scientist. The scientist gave this big speech, and it was incredible. He said, when we grow up, our children are inspired by sports personalities, actors, film stars, celebrities. If we took them to science museums more often, if we showed them, that kind of stuff, we could solve a lot of of problems in the world, but we don't inspire them at that age. They only find that when they start getting into further education.
If they're lucky enough.
If they're lucky enough. And that's the thing, it's getting in there early and showing them what an incredible breadth of jobs that you can do within this industry, this incredible industry, you know. But we don't find it out until we know at the end. I never knew about advertising when I was at school.
Yeah.
You know, my tutors were really quite anti-advertising at art college, but, you know.
You know, that was the same for me. Like, when I went through uni and I felt like I didn't really like what I was doing. Also, economy is very, like, broad. But then the first moment I go into this creative agency, by the way, called Nomads in Amsterdam, and I will always be, I will always thank them for that, because the first moment I got in that room, I realized that was my place. So, you know, I think it's very important to find your place, either by yourself, by trying different things, because also
Definitely.
I think sometimes we focus too much in verticals. I think we always have time to move horizontally and find our own place. By the way, Richard, that was great meeting you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for inviting me.
Honestly, let's have another episode soon.
I'd love that.
I would love that. Cheers to finding your own passion, your own path. Thank you.
Likewise. Cheers.
Era figo questa.